You ever have one of those nights where everything seems fine, until it suddenly isn't? Like you're coasting down a calm road and then bam, brick wall. That was this date. And I swear, if you told me a folding chair and a pot roast would lead to a screaming match with a woman twice my age, I would have laughed. But here we are. First of all, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm not really the dramatic type. My name's Adam, 27, software engineer, decent coffee maker, and at the time of this story, boyfriend to a girl named Rachel. We'd been together for just over 2 years. We weren't rushing into anything too serious, but we had plans, dreams, playlists. You know the drill. Rachel was smart, low maintenance, and had this dry sense of humor that always kept me on my toes. I liked that. I liked her. Our relationship was steady, uncomplicated, and frankly pretty damn nice. But there was always one part of Rachel's life I hadn't met yet. Her mother. I'd heard plenty. Her mom, Sandra, was just protective, according to Rachel. Not mean, just direct. A real, no BS kind of woman, which sounded manageable to me. I grew up with 3 older sisters. Trust me, I can handle strong women. What I didn't expect was to be ambushed with an interview. We were supposed to go to this Italian place downtown. Not fancy, but cozy, candles on the tables, pasta that came in absurdly large bowls. I put on a clean button-down and even shaved on a Thursday night. That's commitment. I get there first and grab a booth. A few minutes later, Rachel walks in. She's in a maroon sweater and looks great. But she's not alone. Her mom is right behind her. No warning. No heads-up text. Nothing. Just bam. There she is. Hair like a helmet, heels like stilettos, and eyes that scan me like TSA. And she smiled when she saw my confusion. Adam, Rachel said. This is my mom. I hope it's okay that she joins us. She just happened to be free tonight. Yeah. Sure. Total coincidence. Of course, I said, standing up and offering a handshake. It's nice to meet you, Ms. Harding. Please, she replied, gripping my hand firmly. Call me Sandra, or Dr. Harding if you'd prefer. A PhD? Fantastic. Just what I needed, someone with both authority and vocabulary. We sit. And from that moment, I stopped being a boyfriend and became an applicant. Sandra kicked things off like she was leading a deposition. Where did I grow up? Did I have student loans? What were my career goals? Did I believe in joint bank accounts? What were my thoughts on prenups? I kept waiting for Rachel to intervene, but she just sipped her wine like this was all completely normal. It wasn't. At one point, Sandra asked if I wanted kids. I said, glancing at Rachel. We haven't really talked about that yet. Why not? I guess we're just enjoying the relationship as it is. So you're not planning a future, then? Just winging it. The waiter came just in time to stop me from choking on my own tongue. We ordered. I went with spaghetti and meatballs. Comfort food. I needed something grounding. Halfway through dinner, the questions got more personal. She asked about my parents' marriage. Divorced. My religious views. Agnostic. Whether I rented or owned. Rented. Then she leaned in and said, I just want to make sure my daughter doesn't waste time with someone who doesn't have a 5-year plan. That was the spark. That one sentence lit the fuse. I put down my fork. Sandra, I said as politely as I could. I understand you want what's best for Rachel. I do too. But I wasn't expecting a background check tonight. Well, she said, not missing a beat. Maybe you should have. I looked at Rachel again. Nothing. She just kept eating. And that's when it happened. I snapped. I didn't yell. Not yet. But my voice definitely rose. You know what? I'm sorry, but this is absurd. I came here to have dinner with my girlfriend, not to be interrogated like I'm applying to date your resume. Sandra raised an eyebrow. If you can't handle a few questions, how are you going to handle a real relationship? If this is what a real relationship looks like, maybe I'll pass. Rachel finally put down her fork. Adam. No, seriously, I said, now fully locked in. Do you bring your mom on all your dates? Or am I just special? Sandra snapped. Don't talk to my daughter like that. And I lost it. Don't ambush people, Sandra. Don't crash a date. Grill me for an hour, then act shocked when I push back. If Rachel wanted me vetted like a babysitter, she could have told me in advance. There was silence. A thick, heavy pause that sat in the middle of the table like a dropped dumbbell. And then I stood up, tossed down cash for the meal, looked at Rachel. Good luck, I said. Hope you and your mom are very happy together. Then I left. That was the last time I saw Rachel. No texts, no calls, nothing. She vanished like a magician's assistant. I half expected to run into her at a coffee shop one day, holding hands with a guy her mom personally selected through a spreadsheet. But that's not the end of the story, because 2 weeks later I got an email from Sandra. The subject line was just, "About that night." I stared at it for a solid 5 minutes before opening it. I mean, who sends an email anymore? And from your ex's mother, no less. There was something almost classy about it, like a cease and desist letter or a wedding invitation you hope got lost in the mail. Inside it was short, direct, like the woman herself. Adam, I know that night did not go as planned. I want to explain myself. Would you be willing to meet for coffee? Just you and me. Sandra. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why in the world would you meet with her? But curiosity is a hell of a drug. And I'll admit, part of me wanted to hear what she had to say. Maybe even say a few things myself. So I replied. Told her I was free that Friday afternoon. We agreed on a coffee shop near campus. Neutral ground. Plenty of witnesses in case she tried to poison me with a biscotti. When I got there, she was already seated. Of course she was. Sandra wore a beige blazer and had a hardcover book open in front of her. Something literary, no doubt. She closed it and looked up at me like we were business partners about to negotiate a merger. Adam. Sandra. We shook hands like spies exchanging dossiers. I ordered a black coffee and sat down. She didn't waste time. I owe you an apology, she said. I raised an eyebrow. Do you? She nodded. I do. That night was inappropriate. I came on too strong. It wasn't fair to you. I took a sip. Let the silence stretch. You think. I wanted to see who my daughter was getting serious with, she continued. Rachel hasn't always made great choices. So you decided to put me through a pop quiz over lasagna? She smiled. A real one, not the icy polite one from before. You're not wrong. But here's the thing, Adam. You were the first one who stood up for himself. I blinked. Excuse me? Rachel's last boyfriend was a pushover. The one before him was charming but spineless. You pushed back. Even if it was dramatic. I yelled at you. In public. Yes, and you were right to. I stared at her. I wanted to scare you off, she said. And when you didn't play nice, I realized you actually cared. I left. I literally walked out. But not because you didn't care. Because you did. And somehow that made me angrier than if she'd just stayed hostile. So what is this? A weird apology or a backhanded compliment? Neither. I wanted to say I was wrong. And to tell you that Rachel misses you. That hit harder than I expected. I leaned back. Looked out the window. She could have told me herself. She's embarrassed. So am I. You shouldn't be. You ambushed me. I know. That's why I'm here. To try and fix it. That would have been a good place to end the conversation. Clean. Redemptive. But of course it didn't stop there. Because just as we were wrapping up, Sandra glanced at her phone and said something I didn't expect. There's something else you should know. She looked up at me, eyes serious. Rachel's father wants to meet you. I didn't sleep much the night after that coffee. Not because I was upset. More like I had whiplash. Emotional whiplash. 1 minute I'm walking out of a dinner date, telling Sandra to enjoy her life as Rachel's +1. The next minute, she's sipping a cappuccino and telling me I passed some sort of unhinged pop quiz. And now her ex-husband wanted a turn. I texted her the next morning. Me. So is this a tag team thing or what? She responded in less than 5 minutes. Sandra, he asked. I didn't tell him everything. Just that you and Rachel split and I may have contributed. He wants to meet you. This is his call. Me. Is he going to throw a chair at me? Sandra, probably not. But he does own several. Charming. We settled on a Saturday morning, same coffee shop. If I was going to get double-teamed by the parental avengers, at least I wanted it on neutral turf. He was there when I arrived. Tall guy, silver hair, black fleece vest. He looked like he coached high school baseball and gave solid advice about mortgages. He stood when I walked in. Adam, right? You must be Mr. Harding. Rick. We shook hands. He had that firm grip all dads have, like your knuckles are a lie detector. We sat. I ordered coffee. He already had tea. So, he said, Sandra tells me you and Rachel had a falling out. That's putting it lightly. I also heard you held your ground. Depends who you ask. He chuckled. You're not what I expected. Good or bad? Too early to tell. Great. Another riddle-wrapped judgment burrito. Rick wasn't like Sandra. He wasn't combative or sharp-edged. He was careful, deliberate. Every word he used seemed weighed in advance. And where Sandra dove in with blunt force, Rick circled you like a chess player. Rachel's had a rough go with relationships, he said. Partly our fault. Sandra's intense. I'm more of a diplomat. So I noticed. And Sandra noticed you didn't cower. I didn't come off great either. No. But sometimes honesty looks ugly. He sipped his tea. I'll cut to it, he said. Do you love my daughter? I looked at him. Really looked. This man, who once probably carried Rachel on his shoulders through carnivals and crowded malls, was now sizing me up like a prospective business partner. I did, I said. Still do, in a way. But I don't know what's left to love when the bridge is already burned. He nodded. Didn't blink. Just let that hang in the air. And what if she wanted to rebuild it? Then we'd need to start from a new foundation. One without surprise dinner interrogations. He laughed. A real one. You know, he said. When Rachel was 10, she brought home a frog and tried to convince us it was a turtle. Said she just had to wash the mud off. That girl can sell anything. But I always admired her stubbornness. So she gets it from you. No, she gets it from her mother. I just learned how to survive it. We talked for an hour. It was strangely easy. He wasn't trying to test me. He was trying to understand me. And he gave me something no one else had, context. Rachel had grown up watching Sandra steamroll every social interaction. She learned to either retreat or adapt. Most of her boyfriends retreated. I was the first to throw down a flag and yell, "Hold the damn line." You were a shock to the system, Rick said. Sandra's not used to people standing up to her. But she respects it. That's why she reached out. And Rachel, still bruised, but not broken. I left that coffee shop with a strange feeling in my chest, like someone had reset a bone that had healed crooked. Rick didn't give me advice. He gave me space, permission, and one more thing. If you ever want to talk to her again, he said, do it your way, but do it soon. Time isn't as generous as you think. I walked back to my car with his words buzzing in my head like a loose phone in my pocket. And that's when I saw her, Rachel, sitting on the hood of her car across the street. She was sitting there like she'd been waiting for a bus, legs crossed, arms folded, the kind of half-smirk on her face that said, "Yeah, it's me." I stopped in my tracks. Not because I didn't expect to see her again, I had fully accepted that, but because she looked normal, not sad, not angry, not haunted by awkward dinners or broken-up dreams. Just Rachel. "Hi," she said, as if we hadn't gone radio silent for weeks. "Hi," I echoed, because apparently my vocabulary short-circuits in moments of emotional collision. She hopped off the hood and stood there, hands in her coat pockets. We stared at each other for a beat too long. "So, coffee with my dad?" she asked. "You know about that?" "He tells me things. Good things." She shrugged. "Mostly. There's a weird tension that happens when you reunite with someone you were once serious about. It's like walking into your childhood bedroom as an adult. Everything is familiar, but you're not sure if you still fit. We walked. No destination, just movement. Like if we didn't stop walking, we wouldn't have to ask the hard questions. Why now? I finally asked. She sighed. Because I didn't like how we left it. Your mom tag-teamed me like it was a UFC match. Yeah, she regretted that. Believe it or not, she actually likes you. Could have fooled me. She did. We ended up at a park bench. It wasn't intentional, but it felt appropriate. Open space. Neutral territory. Nowhere to hide. You want to know why I didn't stop her that night? She asked. I'd love to. Because I froze. I knew what she was doing was wrong, but I didn't know how to handle it. I thought you could. I thought you'd charm her. I laughed. You thought I could charm Sandra? Well, you're good with people. And confident. I figured you'd roll with it. I rolled, all right. Rolled right out the door. She chuckled, but her smile faded. I screwed up, she said. We both did. But I let her run the show. I always do. And when you finally said what I was too scared to say, I panicked. It started to drizzle. Not heavy, just enough to notice. We didn't move. So, I said, what now? She looked down at her hands. I don't know. I just wanted to see if we could talk. Like people, not applicants. You and your mom still a package deal? Nope. She's been uninvited from my future dating life. Forever. Bold move. Desperate one. We sat in silence for a while. The kind that wasn't awkward, just necessary. There were no fireworks. No passionate declarations. Just two people, damp from the rain, trying to figure out what their story was supposed to be. Do you want to try again? She asked finally. I didn't answer right away, because the truth was I didn't know. Some scars fade. Some just scab over until the next bump rips them open again. Maybe, I said, but only if it's just you and me at the table. She nodded. Then she pulled something out of her pocket. A folded napkin. She handed it to me. On it, in her handwriting, was a phone number. But not hers. Who's this? I asked. My mom's therapist. I stared at it. She said if this ever had a chance of working, she had to change too. That wasn't the ending I expected. Same. But hey, life's full of plot twists. She turned and walked toward her car. You know where to find me, she called. And then she was gone. But that wasn't the end either. Because a week later I got a call. From Sandra. I let Sandra's call go to voicemail. Twice. Look, can you blame me? I was still processing the last time she popped up. Plus, I didn't know what kind of version I was going to get. The Dr. Phil version who apologized over coffee, or the Iron Lady from the restaurant. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. I called her back. Adam, she answered on the first ring. Thanks for calling. You rang. Yes, I wanted to thank you, and say something I should have said much earlier. I think you already said sorry. Not that. This is different. I sat down. Okay, I'm listening. Rachel told me about your conversation. The park. The rain. The napkin. She always was bad at subtlety. Sandra chuckled. It was oddly humanizing. I know I was out of line that night, she said. Not just because I was rude, but because I forgot she wasn't 10 anymore. She doesn't need my shield. She needed my trust. That's fair. But more than that, I didn't trust you, and that wasn't fair. There was a long pause. Sandra, where is this going? Therapy, she said. It's been humbling. Turns out I'm not just a protective mother. I'm also controlling, emotionally evasive, and mildly terrifying. Mildly. She laughed. I deserved that. So this is your what? Redemption arc? No. This is just me saying, if you and Rachel try again, I won't be in the way. That hit differently. Maybe it was the quiet humility in her voice. Maybe it was knowing how rare a moment like this was. But it landed. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. You don't have to forgive me, but I do hope you believe I'm trying. I do. Then I'll leave you both to it. Whatever that it ends up being. She hung up. Rachel and I didn't magically fall back into place after that. There were no montage scenes. No running into each other's arms in the rain, again. What there was, though, was a second dinner. Just the two of us. We laughed. We ordered too much food. We made fun of the waiter's man bun. It was simple, familiar, and real. And when the check came, she grabbed it before I could. "I owe you," she said. "For the last one. I think your mom owes me for that one." She probably agrees. The weeks that followed weren't perfect. There were awkward texts, long pauses, and one truly uncomfortable brunch where the couple next to us argued louder than we did. But slowly, something started to rebuild. We went to a trivia night and lost miserably. We watched movies that neither of us had seen and argued over plot holes. We even went bowling, where Rachel revealed a devastating curveball I was not prepared for. She smoked me. I'm still recovering. More importantly, we talked. Really talked. About the stuff we ignored the first time. Family expectations. Boundaries. Our definitions of serious. "You know," she said one night as we walked back to her car, "I don't think we were ever broken. Just misaligned. Like your mom's spine before therapy?" She snorted. Exactly like that. One Sunday afternoon, we ended up back at that same Italian restaurant. Same booth. Different story. "Déjà vu," she said, scanning the menu. "Still not getting the lasagna. Why not? Too many flashbacks." We laughed. We toasted to second chances. And when the bill came, we split it evenly down the middle. No awkwardness. No pride. Just balance. Sandra, for her part, stayed in the background. She sent occasional texts, neutral, supportive, occasionally suspiciously wholesome. One said, "Proud of you both." Another simply read, "Progress is messy, but worth it." She was trying. So were we. And for once, that felt like enough. It's funny how one dinner can implode a relationship, and another can stitch it back together. But that's love, I guess. Not always big gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes it's just showing up, owning your mistakes, taking the napkin with the therapist's number and doing something about it. Rachel and I, we're not planning a wedding. Not yet, anyway. But we are planning a weekend trip. Just us. No parental plot twists. No 5-year plan talks. Just two people still curious about where this can go. And honestly, that feels like a damn good place to start again. The last message I got from Sandra was a photo. It was a shot of a book. Boundaries. When to say yes, how to say no. Underneath it, light reading. Thought of you. I sent her back a thumbs up emoji. Progress. The end.